Setting up your meeting. We're recording. All right, here we go. I'm going to hit the button, record to the cloud. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here.
And I mean, I've been cooking for years, and I've had pumpkin curry, but I never thought of making like a sauce for pasta.
Yeah.
So this like here is like blowing my mind. It looks so simple, yet I have never made it. So I'm really excited to go over this.
Yeah. So I started really kind of investing into vegan recipes because I have a group of friends and there's different dietary restrictions. And we have two that are, you know, anaphylactically allergic to dairy. So I had to do this without the dairy. There's a couple other things, but this one is the most requested. You know, the 6-year-old likes it and the 60-year-old likes it. So it's one of those things where just kind of paint everything with a wide brush. So I cheated and I started before. So I boiled my noodles. So if you're cooking along, go ahead and fill your pot. Yep. Salt your water. I like to use the cabotoppi noodles. Can you see? There you go. That's how it's spelled. And they're these really pretty like little corkscrew guys.
I'm gluten-free, so I'm going with...
What are you using?
Panini. Oh,
panini?
Lentil panini, because I'm gluten-free. So.
That's right, you are.
Talk about allergies.
For being technical.
What did I call it? I don't know. Don't pronounce it wrong. If I pronounce it.
It doesn't matter. I've used all different kinds of noodles. I've used gluten-free noodles. I've used spaghetti squash. I've never done it with zucchini noodles, but if you try it, let me know because I don't know. That might sound gross. Okay, so the other things in our mise en place is the pure pumpkin. You know, the ring light seems like a good idea. We didn't go over this in rehearsals. So it's important that you don't buy the pumpkin pie filling. It's just 100% pure pumpkin. If you buy the pumpkin pie filling, it has sugar and a bunch of other things that will skew the taste of the pasta. And I can't attest to how that's going to go, but you do you. The other thing you need.
Yeah, it's got all the different spices in it. Yeah.
Yeah. And sweetness. This is coconut milk. It's just plain unsweetened coconut milk. I find this in usually the Asian section of my supermarket. And if you don't know where it is at your supermarket, you can look online. And a lot of times when you find the product, it'll tell you what aisle it's in. So that's kind of nice for your first time.
And if it's cold where you're at, give that a shake because it'll solidify like mine is solidified. So
well, that's okay. We're going to put it on heat so it'll congeal as you mix it in together. Then I got salt and pepper, fresh cracked, a little pinch pot for my salt. Then I have special Hungarian paprika. You can use any kind of paprika you like. You can use the smoky if you like. It adds another dimension of flavor. This is not smoked.
I love the smoky, yeah.
But it's magic. It's magical because it's from Hungary, which is kind of nice. And then you need some kind of cooking oil. I'm using olive oil. You can use coconut oil. You can margarine if you prefer. You can use avocado oil. It's just whatever you prefer, whatever you have in the cabinet. I've had everything, just using what you got. And so I've used a bunch of different alternatives and they all turn out pretty good. Nothing's been bad so far. And then the last thing that we have is I have fresh sage. And that's here. I haven't used dried sage, but I imagine it gets there. It gets you there. Cool. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
I guess my question is, can you mix this recipe up? Really, the only two essentials are pumpkin without spices and coconut milk.
Yeah.
And then otherwise it's flavors but I do like the fact that, you know, you've got the savoriness of the sage and the smoked paprika. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's a
It'll be
balance
good.
of a
You'll
lot
be
of different
surprised
flavors.
for it. If you haven't had like a pumpkin pasta, and I bet the curry was great, but I bet it has, you know, the spices on it, so you don't really taste the pumpkin.
I mean, pumpkin curry I've had was just basically, you know, pumpkin with a yellow curry that they added to it, and that was it.
Cool.
Like,
alrighty. So the first thing I like to do, so you've got your noodles going, right? Everybody's got their noodles, noodling. Yes.
Well, I got my pot started, yeah.
Okay, great. So the first thing that I like to do is wash my sage and pluck some leaves off. I pluck more than I think I'm going to need because kind of like how the first pancake goes in the garbage, a lot of times the first fried sage leaf goes in the garbage. So I've got a paper towel here to put them in when they get out of the oil.
Did you say fried?
Yeah.
Oh.
Pan fried. Sauteed, so to speak. So I'm turning my pan on medium high heat. So that for me on my little electric stove from the 60s is about a level 6. So I don't know what that means for you, but that's where I'm at. And we'll wait for it to get hot.
And you didn't put any oil, you're just getting the pot hot.
Well, you can put some oil in there. That's a good idea. Or I'm glad you thought of it. I pre-poured my oil. I mise en placed it up. And you can also do this super duper not vegan. You can use butter, and instead of coconut milk, you can use heavy cream. Sometimes I'll put nutritional yeast in if it's for actual vegans because they need those amino acids that are missing otherwise. And then you can put Parmesan cheese on it. It's delightful. All right. When you think it's hot enough, go ahead and drop a leaf in. If you're using powdered, you don't need to drop a leaf in because you don't have a leaf to drop. It'll go really fast.
I have, you know, whole leaves, but then I dried them, so they're like.
Oh, well, that should be fine.
But
if it crumbles up, it's totally fine because in the last step, you crumble it on top of the pasta anyway. So it's no big deal. All right, I'm going to move you a little bit. See if you can see into my pan. Can you see my pan and my dirty sink or dirty stove?
Yeah.
Can you see my?
I didn't see the dirty stove, so.
My leaf, my one leaf in there. And that's the sound you want, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of my sage leaves. You're just going to kind of smush them around a little bit. Just kind of roll them around. They'll get different colors.
What do you think the frying of the sage leaf changes things?
What do you mean?
How does it change it instead of just tossing the sage leaf into the...
Texturally, I think it's nice to have a little bit of a crystally crunch that comes with it once it's been pan fried. And you're kind of infusing that sage flavor in now because you're going to leave that oil in that you use to fry it. Also, I don't know, or this is just how I do it. But here we go. All right, you can see here.
Because otherwise, I mean, if you put sage in there, it pretty much just disappears.
I think so too.
Yeah, that's an added dimension that I never thought of.
Well, I bet there's a lot of stuff you never thought about.
That's true.
I hope so. Because if you had, I feel like that'd be super boring. Okay, so things go bad real fast. So you can see how they've kind of like round a little bit. They're kind of yellowy. I'm just going to take my pan and kind of flip my sage onto a towel or a paper towel, depending on what you prefer. Uh-oh. I got one goner. Okay, there it is. And then just forget about that for a while. The next thing you do is you take your can of pumpkin. Oh, we're opening. I can hear it being opened.
Yep, I got mine open.
And you dump the whole thing into the pan. I've got a spatula here to help me with that process.
All right, where's my spatula? No,
if you need to, if it's too noisy, you can turn your heat down. I'll probably turn mine down to a 4. I've got an electric stove, so it kind of takes the fun out of it. So once you have your pumpkin in, you're going to go ahead and dump your whole can of coconuts. And if it's separated a little bit, that is okay, because you're just going to stir it and stir it and stir it until it comes together. So here we go. There it is. Mine was a little separated. I didn't shake it up like Or suggested, but it was a good suggestion.
Yeah, what is it? Coconut solidifies if it's under 78 degrees.
Yeah. Well, is it 78?
The
I've got some
oil
coconut oil here that's room temperature. Yeah, and it's solid. But if you put it in your hand, it heats up pretty quick. Oh no, I almost dropped you into the sauce.
So I got family, so I'm doing a double batch.
Perfect. You must have a big pot. I don't know how long it's been.
Surprisingly hard to find pumpkin.
Noodles. Set a timer for your noodles.
Mine still hasn't come to boil. So.
Oh, whoops. So then you just kind of keep stirring it. This is so simple. It's so silly.
Right.
Then you get tasting spoons if you're sharing with other people, especially people you're not related to. You'll need your tasting spoons because you're going to do a little bit of tasting. That should be fine. 3 should be plenty. Sorry for the unnecessary close-up of my face. So it should kind of meld together in this little pretty sort of butternut squashy soup colored.
I might need a bigger pot. I shouldn't have put two cans in this little pot.
The four cans is too many?
Yeah.
All right. And you can taste it
People
before.
Who are regulars on here know that I do this all the time. I end up with overflowing the pan.
If I were you, I would just start using the big pan right out the get-go. Because maybe you have a bigger pan to clean, but you've only got one to clean.
That's
okay,
true.
so
you could do this all in one pan.
I suggest, yeah, you could easily. I suggest you taste it without adding anything additional to it because it's really to your preference. And I'm going to go ahead and add a heavy hand of salt to mine because that's how I like it. Or where are you? Are you with me?
I'm whipping this to liquefy it.
I need to slow down. Right. I can. If you need to whisk it, you can.
All right. It's liquefied now.
Sweet.
So if I'm replacing heavy whipping cream for the coconut milk, do I use the same proportions?
Yes, absolutely. So I don't use heavy cream. We are using coconut milk.
Right.
You kind of just wing it, to be honest, if you're using that heavy cream. I don't see why it would make any difference.
But you said that was an acceptable substitution?
Absolutely it is. Yes, it is. I haven't used any nut milks to make this, but I should give it a try. So if yours goes disastrously, please let me know. So I stop telling people, you can use whatever you want. Maybe
I think it'll be fine.
All right. I like that attitude in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
We'll figure it out.
This is basically just some awesome coconut soup already. You don't even need the pasta.
Yeah. I would put some like bell pepper in this.
And would you fry the bell pepper up like with the sage, or would you?
Oh, absolutely. So just kind of like you would do your Trinity, I would start with that oil, probably do onion, garlic, bell pepper, put it in there, kind of get it so it's soft. And then I would go ahead and then throw the sage in after those are soft, because otherwise I'm worried that the sage will burn and you'll have to start over. And that's a bummer and a waste of food. All righty.
And you're using the fresh sage is optimal.
I am using the fresh sage. Yes, it makes it look fancy.
Okay.
And taste fancy.
And then even though my can has a picture of a pie on it, it is just, the ingredients are just pumpkin. There's no flavoring in it.
Good. Yep. So yeah, it typically will say 100% pure. But you're right. There is a picture of the pie on mine too.
I read somewhere that Illinois makes like 90% of canned pumpkin, and it's actually not pumpkin, it's a squash.
Well, pumpkin is a squash, so now I feel like we're getting technical.
Okay. But it's not like the pumpkin that we think of as like a Halloween pumpkin.
That's right. There's cooking pumpkins, which are usually smaller and smoother. And then there's our, our modified carving pumpkins, which are larger. That's a good point. When they started carving pumpkins, they were turnips. And I just can't imagine.
Oh, yeah, I read that.
Fun it would be to have to carve a turnip.
All right. Okay. So I didn't put any paprika or pepper in mine yet.
Go for it. I'm doing pepper now. See. And I like a coarse grind. If you don't, use what you like.
It's actually pretty flavorful just with the few things in it.
I think so too. It's really just like the oil, pumpkin, and the coconut. It's good. It's a little bland, so the salt kind of helps it there. But it's really just kind of tweaking. Take another taste, see how things are going. Delightful. Delightful. Then I'm just going to do a little bit of the paprika. Not a ton. A lot of times if you're shaking stuff, I'll shake it into my hand first to just kind of avoid any whoopsies. Because it would be a shame to waste it and have paprika soup, unless you're into that.
Well, you said you like red pepper. All paprika is red pepper dried and ground up.
There's nothing else to it?
That's what I understand. It's just red bell pepper or like the...
Yeah, because it's not spicy. It's delicious. Okay. I'm serious when I say
so good. It's so many different flavors.
It's pretty much done. How does it taste, Sor?
It's amazing.
When your noodles are done, you're going to strain them, and then you're going to dump them into the pan. I've got a helper dog here. Goose is here to help. He's my taster dog.
Yeah, like you said, if you were doing it as a soup. If you were doing it as soup, you'd want some kind of texture, like maybe, like you said, some carrots or some, sweet bell peppers.
Woo. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and fold in my noodles. And all that kind of means, if you've seen, what's that show called, Schitt's Creek? There's a very lovely scene, very funny scene where they're talking about folding it in and they don't know how to fold it in. And basically you're just kind of, instead of stirring, you're just kind of looping it around. So you're not damaging the integrity of the food. You're just kind of incorporating it gently together.
Now,
right, noodles are going in.
I do have a hard time not putting garlic or onions in stuff.
Yeah.
But
you can. I have done it before. This is for kind of a bigger group of people, so I like to keep it neutral. But yeah, especially if I'm using real dairy, I'll use that onion and garlic. Noodles are, oh good, in. Woohoo! Perfect.
Mm-hmm. That soup is.
Oh man, now I need a bigger pan. Okay.
It's like
fine.
Rich from the coconut milk and a little bit of oil. It's got that little bit of savoriness from the paprika, and it just, I don't know. There's no sweetness to it. I was expecting there to be a little bit of sweetness. At all.
You just feel like it's some sort of rich cream sauce.
You almost think, I look at it and almost think like a tomato bisque.
Oh yeah, that light reddish orangish color. Beautiful. So you get it all incorporated in real well. Then you take some of your fried sage and you break it up into little pieces and you sprinkle it like a salt bay, if you would like. And you're done.
Well, I'm going to need a picture of your final. I mean, with the sage on there, that sounds very gourmet-ish.
I know. It really, you feel bougie. People are really impressed by it. It's inexpensive. It's the sort of thing like outside of the fresh sage. I mean, I've got sage in the backyard. So if you've got sage in there, that's great. You can just keep a can of pumpkin and a can of coconut in the cabinet and pull it out whenever you got to bring something somewhere. People like it. It's good. And it's not too autumn. You know, sometimes you have those pumpkin recipes that are real autumny. This is great in the fall, but it's good all the time.
And I didn't end up using fresh sage. I have ones that it was fresh that I dried and saved myself, so it's big leaves. But yep. I could imagine though that it actually elevates it even more to have
a little more texture in there.
The freshness, but then like you said, the decoration, make it look fancy.
All right. I'm just plating, just so silly. Okay.
All right. Anybody who's on have any questions? Because this was like, I love how simple, and again, where you can keep all the stuff around. Like, I like try to keep certain things. Like if I get invited to a potluck, I can like make something really quality really quickly. This would be something, especially potlucks where you want to try to make it so that it's allergy free.
Yep.
So that nobody has a problem with it. Yep. And this covers, I think, everything if you use gluten-free pasta. Now, have you ever tried to do this with rice?
I've never done it with rice.
Yeah.
I would probably feel a little hesitant. Well, you know what? I guess it could come out kind of as a risotto texture.
I do have a question about the coconut milk because I'm not at that point yet. I decided to do the onions and I'm doing garlic, and then also doing an orange bell pepper.
Beautiful.
Just because I like.
Man, you're getting really fancy, huh?
Well, I have that stuff on hand, and once again, I don't like wasting food, so sometimes peppers go.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All of a sudden.
I never throw away an onion, but sometimes that, if I don't touch my peppers. But is there a flavor of coconut when you use the coconut?
I don't taste it. And I have done other recipes where they're like, oh, you don't taste it at all. And you really taste it. Yeah. I don't know the science behind it, but I don't taste any coconut. Do you taste it, or?
I don't. All I taste is a richness.
Yeah.
I felt like did I put like tons of oil in this? Like, and I was like, no, I just put just a little bit of oil, Yeah, the coconut, you know, some coconut, if you buy, what is it, coconut cream has a sweetness to it.
I've never
But
used
coconut
it.
milk, I think coconut cream is just the fat without the water.
Okay.
It's just I don't want a flavor of coconut because I know that's gonna.
It doesn't taste like coconut. Nope.
Okay.
At least, well, to our
So
palate.
I may end up using. I have a can of light coconut,
That would be great.
so I'm gonna try that.
As long as it's unsweetened.
I should check that.
Yeah, let me look at the one I use. I just grabbed what I had.
Well,
Yeah, years ago, like, I don't tend to keep milk in my house
right.
because I don't drink it and it goes bad. So I was like, a lot of recipes do milk. And so I'll buy a case of coconut milk. And then I also buy a case of, like, you know, evaporated milk and condensed milk for the baking stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, my go-to is just coconut milk.
I
and you
actually
want a creamy
little packets of dried milk in the cabinet because we had the same issue. I'd buy milk for something, it would go bad before we got to use it all. And so for the most part, especially if you're making like a boxed thing and they're like, add milk, just take some powdered milk, stir it up and throw it in there. It's nice because it's shelf stable and you're not wasting anything.
My mom's actually made cheese from powdered milk. Just like a, you know, what did they call it? Like
Processed.
the white cheese.
Weird. Like a ricotta?
Like farmer's cheese where you just make it real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a ricotta.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. I never liked the big, because usually I see the big things of powdered milk. And so if I could find some small packets, I'd do that.
Yeah, and that's nice too because then you don't have to worry about it getting, you know, contaminated in your cabinet.
Yeah. So, all right.
Cool.
Any other final questions? Otherwise, I want to sit down and eat.
Enjoy, everybody.
Just like.
Do you have one more question because I missed the beginning? What kind of pasta do you prefer to put this over? Since
I love the cabotoppi, and those are the corkscrews that have ridges on them. Okay. And I use this for my mac and cheese too because the sauce kind of sinks into the noodle. The, you know, ribs in it kind of grab the sauce and hold on to it. Yeah. Or use penne. I've used penne for this. Just kind of something a little sturdy because the sauce is so heavy. So I wouldn't use like a bow tie. I think the bow ties would just fall apart. And
more surface area, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'm looking forward.
You're welcome. Please, I hope you enjoy.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.
All right. That recording stopped, and let me hit the other button.